Hey guys, Ken here from the Retro Toys Base channel, Malaysia. Now, this video that I'm putting out here is basically me just weighing in on the current hot topic that everybody in the world of Moto globally is actually discussing online, namely after the video that was put out by Spectre Creative, where he talks about, probably forecasting the end of Moto as we know it in a couple of months' time. Now, I'm not looking to just cash in on a hot topic here, okay? Because I watched the video, I do follow the Spectre Creative channel. I find a lot of the stuff that he shares there on the channel to be very insightful. I've been following the channel for well over a year now already. There's a lot of stuff that not just Moto related that's very informative, okay, coming from somebody that actually did work on the brand. Okay, that's one of the key differences I think that, aside from just us being YouTubers here who love the brand, love the toys and stuff like that, but, these are actual insights from somebody who actually did work on the product and actually, in fact, on the incarnation of one of the best versions of Moto in toy line history, which is the Classics line. Okay, that being said, there's a lot of stuff there, that's shared in the video there that I think that probably, maybe it was taken out of context, but it did actually make me think about a lot of stuff that I was discussing on the channel as well, going back to April of last year. And I talked about this on Instagram. I shared the video that I did again in the community page on YouTube, where I talked about the end of distribution for MOTU, all right, at retail in Malaysia. And this was as far back as April of last year. Now, at the time of the release of that video, it was shortly after the release of Wave 8, it was the Wave with the Sunman figure. And it dawned on me that actually, here in Malaysia, we have not seen any new figures for Moto Origins at retail. Not since, well, Wave 6, okay? And it began to dawn on me that, all of those Wave 6 figures were basically still on the backs. I even shared videos of this on Instagram and stuff like that, probably here on the channel too, okay? Where, you could see like just dozens of those Wave 6 figures, okay? Webstore, Stinker, that whole gang, okay? And even going as far back as Wave 5 as well, as certain department stores, they were just loads of them there, like the complete sets, okay? And these were there on the packs for like about a year. I even showed a video there on Instagram where I believe that you could see actually the dust particles accumulating on the plastic bubbles, okay? Because nobody had even touched any of these figures, okay? They've just been left there on the packs. Nobody even lifted them up, okay, or picked them up or handled them in any way. They've just been there literally in the same position on the packs for about a year. And it dawned on me that, hey, something's happening here. I checked around, okay, I asked people that I knew worked with department stores, even insiders in Mattel and stuff like that. Not that I got a lot of information, but I was able to piece some things together. And the fact of the matter was that based on what we were actually experiencing on the ground, we were not getting new Moto stock at all, okay, at retail. So I couldn't walk into a store and find stuff like, any of the Wave 7 figures, let's say, all right, or any of the stuff that came out after that. In fact, not just, Moto Origins, but the last time that we legit had a full wave of Masterverse figures was Wave 3, all right? That whole wave with Barbarian, Skeletor, and the Viking He-Man and all that, that was all through the hobby stores, right? Or, it appeared online, but it was never put out at retail. So what's going on here, okay? So the point of that whole video was just that, I could already see the future at that point, okay, that there was not going to be a consistent supply line for Moto Origins or even Masterverse at retail, not anymore, okay, because people simply were not buying them. Are there no Moto fans like right here in Malaysia? Of course they are, but not enough to sustain a retail release. And then I began to see the same situation happening all across Asia as well. Okay, and I saw all the engagement that was online, even from people in America, other parts of the world as well. They were all saying that, look, they went to the stores, they can't find anything, they can't find this, can't find that. On the flip of it, you get people who say that, look, I went to my store and everything was there, okay, and it all sold out and stuff like that. The reality of it is just that a lot of these figures, they were actually manufactured for retail, like probably months in advance, obviously, okay? They had to have a plan, to roll out these figures, they can't just like, put it into production this month and the next month it's out at retail. They would have, planned this out way in advance. So most of those stocks that you're seeing out there probably, yeah, they were already slated for retail release, definitely, okay? But it's just that I think that they were retailers that were probably committed to take them. And at some point, the fans, okay, who were actually buying the product, okay, whichever retailer had them, they would just get them from there. And probably that resulted in the sellouts, okay? And then you had other places where retailers stopped carrying them because not enough people were supporting the line. And one of the things that I always did agree on, with Spectre Creative was the fact that Moto at retail has been a failed experiment. It always has been, going back to 20 years ago. Okay, going back all the way back to 2002, all right? It's been a failed experiment at retail, okay? The only time it was a success mentioned this in other videos as well, was in the 80s, okay, back when kids were actually buying the brand, back when there wasn't other distractions like technology, computer games that look so freaking real, okay, anything to distract them. You know, fantasy was big back in the day, you know, dragons, you know, you look at Stranger Things, okay, they're all about D&D. Okay, these days, you gotta be kidding me, right? Okay, I mean, yeah, I'm not saying that there aren't kids who may not be into D&D, but really? I doubt that. Okay, it's an 80s thing. So, look, honestly speaking, the brand has failed at retail. That doesn't mean that the brand is over. Okay, this is two totally different things here, right? I don't believe that the brand is dead. Okay, I just believe that the brand is heading to extinction at retail at some point. And most of the stocks that you're probably seeing out there, I get people saying that stuff like, oh, look, the recent stuff that just came out sold out. Yeah, because there are people who want to buy them, but not enough at the quantities that, you know, enable this to be a retail thing for much longer, is what I believe. Okay, look at the situation with stuff like the Masterverse Trapjaw. At one point, that thing was supposed to be like an exclusive, which was supposed to be a Target exclusive, in fact, in the US. And that just meant that we would not be getting it here in Malaysia, all right? It would not be available. If I were to walk into Toys R Us and look for it, you know, I wouldn't get it. That resulted in a lot of local hobby stores also probably, you know, for their committed buyers, you know, having to source out the figure, all right? Of course, pay a premium to just bring, you know, selected batches of the figure in, so that, you know, people could actually get their hands on it, all right? That's the way I guess it works with some of these exclusives. But then a couple of months after that, in fact, maybe about 2 months ago, I shared photos of this as well on Instagram. You know, we start seeing like huge carton boxes of the Masterverse Trapjaw just starting to appear at our local Toys R Us stores. And in fact, they're all still there, okay? Because I think that whoever locally wanted to actually get their hands on this figure, like right when it came out, they had to go through all kinds of channels and pay a premium for it, to the point that when it actually did appear at retail, you know, most of the people that wanted it already got it, right? So that thing's just been, you know, frankly, littering the shelves, okay? I mean, it seems hard to believe that a figure like Trapjaw, okay, is just available in abundance, but that's what the situation is. Okay, so where did all this stuff come from? Unsold stock from the US, I guess. Oh, yeah, I mean, from Target, okay, because not enough people were actually purchasing it. All right. So, I mean, the stuff has to go somewhere. So they offload it maybe to countries like us, maybe some other countries across Asia. I mean, the thing is still online now. Okay, if I were to go to the Mattel online store in Malaysia, I could still buy it from there as well. I don't even have to walk into the store. So you figure it out, guys. You know, okay. I mean, is this stuff actually supposed to be, you know, suitable for retail? I would say that no. Okay, it's not. Now, I think that all this really just points to the fact that MOTU is probably going to be completely extinct at retail at some point. And that's already been the case for a lot of countries around the world, okay, Malaysia included. Okay, once in a while, yeah, I mean, you saw the videos, we got, you know, random stuff in, like She-Ra, Hordak, you know, but it wasn't consistent. Okay, those are like special deluxe packages, or like the 2 40th anniversary figures that I reviewed here as well, Beastman and He-Man. Okay, those are like special situations where they were part of a special team, I believe. Okay, but we never got those consistent waves. Okay, like, you know, the waves with, like, you know, anything from wave 4 onwards. Okay, I think now Masterverse is on like wave 8. All right, and when it comes to Origins, it's only been the hobby stores that have been trying to bring them in for a very committed and small group of collectors, I would say, but nothing at retail. Okay, that's basically been the situation for a lot of people out there as well, all across the world, you know, and that basically means to all of us who are not able to actually walk into a department store and find these figures on the shelves, all right, that basically just means that, you know, the line is already dead at retail for us. And probably, you know, at some point also for any place else, okay, around the world that probably still has them up on retail. I don't want that to be the case, okay, definitely not. But that seems to be the situation, okay, as it is, all right. Now, look, Moto as a brand is going to keep on going, okay. They, you know, every time it seemed to fail in the past, they found different modules, different ways to keep it going. You know, okay, when it failed in 2002, they kept it going actually with the Staction figures. And then they sort of like rolled that into classics, okay, which went on for a couple of years. And then Super 7 took over. You see, the thing is just that we've had MOTU merchandise, action figures, you know, basically out there in the market for the last 20 years, all right? It's only when Origins, you know, made the effort to kind of like bring it back to retail after such a long time and mimic the appearance of the vintage figures, you know, the classic ones from all the way back in the 80s, it triggered this wave of nostalgia, right? But after a lot of people got their hands on the key He-Man Skeletor figures, they just weren't going to dig any more deeper into stuff that they never even heard of. Okay, I gotta say for real, all right? There's a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline that I'm hoping Origins will do, but the fact of the matter is that I don't ever see it actually being applied to a retail production. Okay, I don't see that happening. Even something as utterly gorgeous as Stridor is clogging up the shelves here. So how are we going to expect to see, a retail release of stuff like the Fright Fighter, the Dragon Walker, any of that stuff? So look, okay, I mean, obviously the brand is going to continue, all right, maybe in a different module. Okay, probably it's going to be, released online. But anytime you talk about a module that's different from retail, it goes back to the hobby store days. Okay, it goes back to the time that, I walk into the hobby store and I see He-Man stuff from Super 7. It's just that I'm not so inclined to immediately grab it because the prices are so much higher. It's like the difference between Thundercats Ultimates, okay, that it's being rolled up by Super 7 and stuff like that. If they brought back Thundercats again to retail, there would be some interest, okay, in the beginning for sure, for the key characters. But once you go in like real deep, to all those other characters like Mandora and all that, no, okay, the general crowd is going to reject it. I don't know why, okay. That's just the way it is, okay. Some of these franchises, they can't extend too far in. We've been really lucky so far with MOTU Origins. They've been going real deep, okay. That's why they put out those really obscure characters, thankfully, in the beginning, okay. Otherwise, there's no way we would get stuff like Ninja, right, Skaglow, any of those guys. So, look, I'm definitely feeling it, okay. I'm feeling the fact that, basically I can no longer walk into a retail store and just expect to see this stuff there, the stuff that I want, from MOTU. I can probably still obtain this stuff through a little bit of effort, getting it online and stuff like that. But that just goes back to the days of, shopping online and paying shipping fees for the thing to be shipped to you from, someplace all across the other end of the world. So, that goes back to the old way of collecting these figures, okay. So it's like, when it's no longer something that's so easily attainable, part of the drive ends as well, I suppose, because it's out there, okay. It's no longer a thing like, I gotta get down to the store right now because the thing is right there right now, okay. It's not like that anymore. It's like, that, yeah, well, it's out there, I'll probably get around to it maybe about, a year later or something like that. So I mean, you guys know it's true, okay. I mean, Super 7's been putting out a lot of He-Man product. Yeah, I don't see a lot of people really buzzing about the Super 7 stuff. I mean, some of the stuff there is pretty great too, right? Well, because a lot of people just didn't invest in them, okay? Their prices are so much more expensive. They weren't at retail to begin with. It was harder to get hold of them. I can walk into probably a hobby store or two here in Malaysia, and I can probably see some of those Super 7 Ultimates there, like, the He-Man, and that's like, 10 times the price of the retail He-Man figure, okay? So, but like I said, it's there, okay? It's not going anywhere, right? I can just pick it up, anytime, if I get the cash for it, I can probably just invest in it. So it's one of those situations, okay? So, the excitement in the sense of, collecting MOTU at the store, that probably, okay, is ending, and it has in fact ended, okay, for a lot of people out there all across the world, right? So it's just a matter of whether or not we are willing to go along with whatever new module is going to be put out there for these figures to be, collected. If it's, just going to be through metal creations and stuff like that, are we just going to be able to, put in the orders accordingly within whatever time frame or window is available there, and just pony up for the shipping costs every single time, because it's no longer being brought in by a major chain, okay? It's no longer being brought in by a department store. They're not absorbing any of that cost for us, okay? So, yeah, I mean, the cost of collecting this thing is just going to be a lot more higher than what we're used to, okay? And I know that that's the situation, in fact, that a lot of you guys all across the world are already faced with, okay? I mean, for a time there, we were getting this stuff here at retail, and I was getting a lot of feedback that, people were telling me that, look, I'm here and there's nothing here on the shelves, and you guys were telling me that, yeah, you have to pay so much to get the figures in, and I completely understand that, right? I completely do, okay? But sometimes, geographically, you may be lucky, okay? You may be in some place like LA, and the hobby store there just gets everything that you want, and it just has it available, and that basically becomes like your idea of retail. I don't think that's the way it's supposed to be, though. I mean, it should be like, retail for everyone, okay? So if you like, a particular Target has it or something like that, it doesn't mean that I think every Target store, across the United States has the same amount or the same supply, all right? So it's a similar thing as well, okay? I'm not sure how this thing actually works, but I do believe that, retailers are rejecting the stocks, and eventually at some point, some of this stuff is definitely going to circle back here. I mean, eventually, okay? Because at some point, there's just going to be surplus of stocks, okay, in some parts of the world, right? Probably from America, and it's just going to trickle down to the rest of the world. So we'll get it probably like months later now. Okay, no longer like, you know, at its, you know, release date, but months later perhaps. Okay, it'll probably still turn up. Okay, just like what happened with Trapjaw. And, you know, stuff like Wave 11 and all the new figures, King Hiss, Thunder Punch, He-Man. Eventually, I think it's just going to end up here as well, okay? Reports of stores selling out of them, you know, in certain locations, in certain parts of the US, is probably just dedicated to that particular store alone, okay? If they spread it out a little bit more wider, probably you can find situations where the thing is just hanging on the pegs, okay? That's just the reality of it, right? So that's what the whole video has actually really been about. I think that, you know, there are some points there, good points there in Spectre Creative's video that actually also made me think of the situation that we're faced with here in Malaysia and also across Asia and a huge part of the world as well, all right? And in conclusion, I would say that, you know, I do believe that the line is going to be extinct at retail pretty soon. And, you know, it doesn't mean that the line is actually meant to be extinct, okay? There's still so much more stuff, okay, for them to produce. Come on, I got a whole list of figures here, vehicles and stuff like that, all right? So definitely, you know, if you had been more successful at retail, you know, you could have just continued in that format. But yeah, so I mean, I don't think that the retail thing is going to be an option for much longer. But however, just like it has in the last 20 years, MOTU as a brand is going to keep on going, okay? And, you know, I mean, I'm really happy for it. Okay, I hope that I can keep on investing in the hobby in as much as possible. And I hope that, you know, definitely if you get around to getting those remaining Origins figures, okay, that are still unproduced, okay, beyond the Snake Man, okay, you know, we need stuff like Rio Blast, right? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, guys. Hit me up there, and I'll catch you guys again real soon with more content. Thank you. Take care.